Jeff a question or two, and then I'm going to open it up to you to ask a few more, and then we'll all go party. When you approached this play, 1952 play, what was the first thing that you thought, I want to investigate or tighten or change?
Well, I should say that it was first done out of the old Globe in San Diego, and Barry Edelstein, the artistic director there, said, you know, how would you like to do this? And I said, well, you know, it's a kind of perfect play. I wouldn't want to screw it up. And he said, well, you might consider a few things, like what if you made the lover, whose name was Max, into a woman? And I thought, well, that sounds like an outre. But I thought, all right, I'll give it a go. And so that was the first part of the business, and it was weirdly, I shouldn't say easy to do, but things fell into place. And it suddenly made certain things, you know, the stakes were raised. To have an affair in London in the 1950s was one thing, but to have a same-sex affair was something else altogether. So it made the secrets deeper, and it made the problems bigger, that kind of thing. Then he also asked me to try to give some more quote-unquote agency to Margot, so that she was doing more than if you know the film or the earlier version. Margot spends a lot of time simply saying, what? And looking beautiful. But so we gave her a little bit more agency, I think, in the show, and a few more plot twists here and there. So that was the order of business.
So, Dial-In for Murder is a genre piece, and ultimately, by the end of the evening, all the pieces of the puzzle have to fall into place. When you're working on a genre piece, as compared to a more traditional comedy or drama, how do you approach that either the same or differently than a non-genre piece?
Well, I think the first thing to keep in mind is that the audience is clued into the kind of play this is in a different way than the audience would have been back in the 50s. So, for example, if a door opens here and there's an inspector standing in the doorway, you know, back in the day, nobody would blink. But, you know, that's 70 years ago, and we've seen so many inspectors walk through so many doorways on stage, on film, and television, that the immediate sight of an inspector causes laughter. So you have to play with some of the tropes of a stage thriller, to admit that you and the audience know that, you know, it's a confection, it's a concoction. You know, things don't really happen like they do on stage. Even though the subject matter is ostensibly real passion, real love, real fear, vengeance, all that kind of thing, greed. So to be aware of that and occasionally poke a little bit of fun. You know, at some point the ostensible murderer is asked, what are you doing here? And he says, well, I'm afraid I've come to kill you. And it usually elicits a laugh, you know, because, well, it is over the top, but at the same time, he's a polite Englishman, and of course, that's his explanation. And also, this is a thriller as opposed to a whodunit. It's not a murder mystery, because you know whodunit. And the format is very much the same as, let's say, Columbo. You know, those of you who remember, it's the same structure of watch the murder and then watch things unravel badly. There's also a TV show called Poker Face that did that last year on Peacock. So it's called an inverted murder mystery. And the structural fun is, you know, what mistake did the murderer make? You know, it's usually going to be one thing that unravels the whole thing. So you know that we're looking for that. You know it's not going to end with, and Margot was hanged. Right? Nobody's here thinking, oh, well, another play where they hang a woman. So you know how it's going to end, but you don't know precisely how. So it's a matter of finding the changes, ringing the changes, I guess.
I'm going to open the floor to the room. Who has a question that you'd like to ask? Yes? Why was Tony faking a limp when he first met?
First I'll ask you, does anybody here in the audience have the answer?
Seem vulnerable?
So
Not
making,
regret?
That's a lovely idea. But
It's revealed that when he knows him, he knew him with a limp from time to day.
Not quite, but I like both of you very much. Yes, this lady in the front row, you guys are thinking in terms of character, which is great. This lady, no, it was to make him pick up the blackmail, or the letter, so that his fingerprints would get on the letter. So the whole thing about the limp is an elaborate setup to, at some point, make Lesgate pick up the letter. But I like the idea that he's suddenly much more vulnerable. It's like, I couldn't possibly gaslight you, I'm vulnerable.
It's funny to remember that in the 50s, fingerprints, and you're very aware of it watching the play, how much fingerprints are the damning thing one could leave behind. Today it would be DNA testing, so you just want somebody to spit on something instead of having to touch it.
I couldn't for the life of me think of a reason that Tony would say, I'm sorry, Leslie, could you please spit on this? Just like a little bit of your phone, please.
Who else has a question? Yes.
Do you think that the play could be adapted to our time, like with me and
I think it would be very difficult given here are the things that are specific to the 1950s. Things like we still hang people, right? You have latch keys that are easily mistaken one for another. Phone calls are made that are not necessarily traceable. So many of the things we have today, cell phones and card keys, that would just blow the whole system, which is not to say that you couldn't concoct another plot entirely, but I think there are too many of those things that would make this plot break down.
Yeah, even the moment where she's escaped from police custody and the police station hasn't heard of it yet, which is inconceivable today, would instantly be, on, X or whatever it is, but back then it's like, oh, word hasn't gotten to them yet.
And also probably one of the central things is back then it's, my God, no one must know that we're having a lesbian relationship. I'm sure that here you're marketing a guideline for murder now with lesbians.
50% more lesbians than...
It's just a different world entirely. Plus, I guess I would also say that, we've all seen perfectly good television and film things where murderers wear t-shirts and hoodies and stuff like that and play basketball and kill each other. But we kind of like it when they dress like these people, right? And we re-enter a world that seems, at least to us, more innocent. Not that any of us were alive in the early 50s, God knows.
One last question before we all go up and party. Yes?
I would say overall, given the previous year, what's the challenge with Lesgate to, in a short period of time, kind of give you enough information to realize why he would make the decision to actually come back?
To come back and commit the murder?
Yeah.
Well, I think he's got 2 murders in his past. He's killed 2 people that if Tony blabs to the police, it's going to be very difficult for Leslie to function any longer. Plus, 5,000 pounds in those days was a lot of money. I think the exchange rate was 5 to 1, so that's $25,000, which would be something like $200,000–300,000 today. So that's a nice amount of money to commit murder. But also, as the actor did it very well, he's kind of sweaty and nervous. He's only killed people who were easy to kill. This is somebody who's going to have to strangle, and I'm not quite sure that he's up for it. So when she says, why are you here? I'm here to kill you, but I don't have to go through with it. In the back of his mind, he's probably been thinking the whole time, if this goes south, maybe I can get some more money out of it and I won't have to kill it. Then the phone rings and it's like, oh, what the hell? So that's my reason for it.
Dial for Murder, your adaptation is one of the most produced plays in the country right now. Is there, do you have a theory? Is there something in the zeitgeist that makes murder or thrillers suddenly chic again?
Well, my house has always been chic. I think that after 6 or 7 hard years of politics and pandemic and everything, where facts are hard to nail down and truth is malleable, People like the idea of a thriller which promises we're going to nail down the facts. And we are going to catch the killer, and that killer will be punished in one way or another. So I think it's, in one sense, a reaction against these very queasy times that we live in. And also, you know, it's comfort food. It's an old title. It's got Hitchcock echoes in your brain. People think of Ray Milland and Grace Kelly. And so I think the job of an adaptation like this is to be comfort food with a little bit of spice that you didn't remember being in. You know, comfort food with some twists and turns that are new. So at least that's my theory.
Jeffrey, on behalf of all of us, we're thrilled that you are with us in Dallas tonight. We're really thrilled that we got to experience the twists and turns of your wonderful adaptation.
And we talked about a new play before the show, right? It's the complete Dallas series in 90 minutes. Don't you think? Dallas for Christmas.
You never know what could happen next. Everyone, thank you.